Hi guys, my name is Ajane and I am a perinatal social worker. I work in a medical center, so it's outpatient. I facilitate and direct an intensive outpatient program as well. So I meet with patients in the clinic, and more specifically, I work in a specialized area called addiction medicine. And so we see pregnant and postpartum individuals who have substance use, alcohol use, opiate use disorder, and we give them the proper treatment and care that they need for a healthy life and healthy pregnancy and postpartum care. So we also administer, well, my physicians administer the MAT. So we do like Sublocade, Suboxone, Subutex, and we also see patients who do like methadone as well. Some patients, very few, are on Vivitrol that come to us, and so we just like manage that. We help them get engaged with like mental health supports, additional service lines, things of that nature, and provide them and their baby with adequate care. So we don't like necessarily meet with the baby. We have a sister program who does the pediatric side. So that's that. I wanted to come on here because I am the only Black social worker on my team, and there have been instances where I have been like the only Black social worker on my team, but it was like me and another social worker, and then before that it was like two Black social workers, including myself, and then a white presenting social worker. She is white, but she is also like first generation, and so she had a different like culture component with her family background, and culture and diversity in that aspect. And then I had another social worker who was like of brown descent, and had a completely also different culture. And so this experience being where I am now, and it's like very blatant that I am. I just want to talk about some of the pressures that I feel while I'm navigating this experience of being one of the few Black women that I see on a normal day-to-day basis within my clinic, and how sad it's been, especially because I moved here not really like knowing anyone and like having my own like set community, and knew that I had to build relationships and friendships. And I am so very grateful that my clinical supervisor is a brown woman who has her own culture and practices and experiences that have contributed to her being a diverse and intentional and aware social worker that has just directly impacted me in a positive way. And sometimes I feel this like burden to make sure that there is a level of equality, and there is fewer instances of discrimination and stereotyping, and just the normal narratives that those microaggressions, those micro comments, passive aggressive ways of our medical system. And even though like some providers have the best intentions, they fall into the trap and the narrative that society has built around people of color. And just making sure that like my white participants are getting equal, if not the same type of outcome, as long as it's fair, right? And within the bounds, sorry, I have to use my blinker. The bounds and barriers, that everyone's protected on a fair. There's not like implicit or racial biases impacting how we treat patients and how we literally treat them physically and mentally and emotionally, and that, I don't know, I just feel like there's a sense of responsibility, which there is anyway, right? There's, as a social worker, I have this sense of responsibility and duty, and as a part of the social justice aspect, dignity and worth of a person, but also as a person who has my own similar experiences, or who is intentional about being aware of implicit bias for myself, and ensuring that the few patients that I encounter that are of color are afforded and given the same opportunities as their white or white-facing counterparts. I think recently has taken a toll on me. Like, I would love to be a part of a more diverse team overall, and especially a social work team, and it's already like, you know, a population of social workers who are not of like ethnic background and brown and black, you know, skin type and tone, and I don't know, I'm just like feeling kind of sad about it, if that makes any sense. I'm feeling kind of sad about it, and I do wish that I was around more diversity, and it's not to take away from any of my colleagues or co-workers, because they're truly amazing people, and they're in this fight with me as far as like wanting to treat these patients, wanting to get them the help and resources and advocate for them, and do our best to show up every single day for them and meet some of their needs and bring awareness to some of their needs, and also bring awareness to just this population overall who already faces a heightened level of discrimination and stereotyping and bias, and they don't receive a lot of support within the medical system, especially justice system. And so, you know, I acknowledge that I don't feel alone in that way. I just feel alone that, and it could be a me thing, right? It could be a me needing to just like process. I have these moments here and there working in this specific facility that I'm like, is anyone else like noticing that? You know? Does anyone else see this as problematic or concerning? Or usually in meetings, I feel like I'm the one that's bringing awareness to some like implicit bias or the potential for bias or stereotyping or discrimination, and a lot more recently lately. And so I don't know, it's just kind of like a weird situation. And yeah, I think I've just had recent conversations about race and culture, especially with like a patient of mine recently who is just so kind and so loving to her children and really wants the best for them, and unfortunately is unsure how to navigate having children of like a multicultural home, and children who are biracial and have a different like culture aspect to them. And it appears to me that that child is facing some challenges within their peer system, with really identifying now that like I am a little bit different than my family, and my patient not wanting to make them feel less. And so the desire is to humanize the experience by saying that we're all human, we all share blood, and like the conflict in me being like, yes, while that is also true, there's also an experience for her that she's starting to realize, and like it could come off dismissive if we just say, but we're all human, when she's struggling and needing validation and support in her identity and how she is different and special and unique from her mom or her siblings or her family unit. And when it's very blatant that your skin tone and who your other parent is very different from the entire system, we can't just like ignore it. And so working through that through like therapeutic interventions and support and narration and validation, but also just like this awareness is important. And so yeah, I don't know if any of this is making sense. You guys can let me know, but I just wanted to get on here and just have a little rant, a little vent, a little honest moment, because that's what I do. I have honest moments with you guys and transparency about like things that are going on within the social work field, within my experience within the social work field. And this is not everybody's experience within the social work field, so don't take this as like Bible or the only experience that you'll have, especially if you're an MSW student seeking mentorship or employment. If that is important to you, I urge you to make that known. I've made it very known that I wanted to work on a diverse team, a team that has representation across many cultures, races, ethnic backgrounds, because that was important to me. And that's just the reality of our world, especially living in America. But things are so like isolated and secluded, and obviously there's a lot that goes into that with access to care, access to medical care, access to resources, meeting criteria to get Medicaid, for example. And so there's a lot of work to still be done, but I know that moving forward, and I know this is a conversation that I have to have with the leadership on my team, is the importance to me of having diversity. And as we continue to hire, or as people transition out, or as I transition out, the importance of that. Because when I first started this job, there were 2 white and 2 black social workers, and now I'm the only black social worker. And I'm on a team now, like a direct team that I work with on a day-to-day basis, of 4 white women and 1 black. And like that just, and we have a white student, MSW student. So like I said, there's nothing personal about these people and their race. They didn't choose their skin tone. I didn't, as far as I'm aware, I didn't. And I love them as people, and this is nothing bad about them, but just like awareness of the system and what I'm looking at now. And a lot of the staff now that I work with on a day-to-day basis are white. And like when I'm in these meetings where we have all staff meetings where everybody in the staff needs to participate, I'm looking at a lot of white faces. And that's not exactly what I saw when I first interviewed and my first experience. And a lot of people of color that I've grown to love and cherish have left. And so it's like, is that a coincidence? Is that just something that happened? Or is it an overall system problem? And how do I use my whiteness, my privilege, to bring awareness, to bring change, to make an impact? And is that solely my responsibility, or should I also be having assistance from the people who also share the same job responsibilities and roles? And so just conversations. If you guys have had that experience, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're brown, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Asian, like whatever your ethnicity or culture or race you identify is, like, what is your experience with working on a team? Like, is it diverse? Is that important to you? And I know it also depends on where you are geographically, and do you think that has an impact on it? And do you feel responsible? Do you feel a need to provide support or assistance in ways that maybe other people haven't necessarily stepped up to. So that's my conversation for today. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you're thriving, living your best lives. I'm working on a very unique video where I haven't done anything like this before, like nothing like this before. It'll kind of be podcast video style. And so I'm really excited and nervous about it. And it's gonna come with like a little series and hopefully its own separate podcast. And I'm really, really passionate about it. And so I hope that you guys are able to receive it and support me in that way. And yeah, I have an email down below if you ever want to ask questions, or you don't want to necessarily do it to the comments, or you need more guidance or support with something. I'm gonna do better about checking it more regularly. I need to clean out my email. Does anybody else have that problem? I need to clean out my email because I'm getting all of these ads and emails, and I'm just like, leave me alone, leave me alone. I don't even use your services. Only